if you do that, you'll be successful. So if you're checking off all those three categories, you're taking the right actions, you're doing it the right way, you're not rushing through it or anything like that, and you give yourself enough time to kind of fail and learn and fail and learn and fail and learn, you're going to be successful.
Welcome to TradeHappy. Welcome back to another Traders Podcast episode. Remember guys, if you are new here, to hit the like button, comment below what you've learned from this episode, and also subscribe. Today we have a trader who's featured in Forbes as one of the top trading educators. He also mentors traders all around the world. Please welcome Akil. So for anyone that doesn't know who you are, would you just be able to tell us a bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Akil Stokes. I'll try to keep the story as brief as possible, but I was a former struggling trader. I am now a professional trader. I'm also a trading coach over at tier1trading.com, and really trading wasn't a career path that I planned on getting into. It kind of just happened, and I'm glad it did, because I really have a passion for the markets. I really enjoy what I do, and it provides me not only financial freedom, but freedom of time in life. And that's really the most important part for me. So from a trading perspective, I'm a technical trader, which means I use the charts. I don't really pay too much attention to news. I guess just a brief about my philosophy. I believe highly in the power of support and resistance, supply and demand. So structure is the backbone of everything I do within my trading.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few traders out there that do use support and resistance, and it seems to work for them. So yeah, that's really good. You briefly touched on tier 1 trading. Can you tell us a bit more about that, and then also where you see tier 1 trading going in the future, possibly?
Well, Tier 1 Trading is an educational platform, and when we started the company back in 2017, Jason Greystone, Darren Oglesby, and myself were actually coming from another educational platform, and we just wanted to do things in a different way. We've been teaching for years, and we kind of have that process down. We know how to teach, we know what to teach, we know basically the formula that goes into helping a trader become consistently profitable. But there was something different that we needed, and it was the community aspect. And I think that's big. And if you look at any successful individual, or any successful group, it takes two things. You need accountability, whether that's internal accountability, meaning the ability to keep yourself responsible and motivated, or you need external accountability. You need people around you that are a support system that's going to help push you in the right direction. And that's something that was missing from trading. In my experience, I've always told people to stay away from trading forums and trading chat groups and stuff like that, because most of them are toxic. Most of them, you're gonna get flooded with the same message. It's either going to be the trading is a get rich quick scheme, or it's going to be this one guy in there bragging about how good he is, but not really helping. And there's just a lot of false information that I think does a trader more harm than help. So what we wanted to do is we like that method of having a network, a community of traders, but we wanted to create a non-toxic one. So our goal with Tier 1 was to do all the educational things that we always do, teaching people the right way, putting them in a supportive system where there's lots of supportive resources, live trading rooms, there's accountability sessions, there's Monday Q&A sessions, like small group Q&As, giving them everything they need to be successful, but also introducing that community aspect where they're in a community with like-minded individuals, people that have a serious, a serious drive to becoming a consistently profitable trader, consistently profitable traders that have been through the journey that many of the new traders are going through, and really just are willing to give back and support and help along that path instead of kind of just brag or discourage. And we weren't sure it was going to work, to be honest with you, but fortunately enough, we've done a good job of attracting the right type of trader to our platform. And I think the community aspect is by far the most powerful aspect of our website and of our educational program. So we're really proud of that, really proud. We couldn't do it without the traders on our platform, to put it briefly.
And how did you So before you joined Tier 1,
Mhm.
how did you get into trading? How did it all start?
So I got into trading right out of college. My dad did an excellent job of teaching me, I guess, keeping me financially educated. And for me, that's a very big issue for me. That in school districts across the world, I think we do a very poor job of financially educating people. People aren't graduating from, we call it high school over here, but with the knowledge of really how to take care of themselves from a financial aspect. They don't know about investing. They don't even know about balancing checkbooks. They don't know how interest works. They're very uneducated. And I won't get too deep into that. I think there's all types of reasons, and people want to stay in power and all that fun stuff. But really, my dad did a good job when I was young of just teaching me the basics of understanding money, not fearing money, but really embracing it. And that started with simple stuff where it's like saving, where, I remember I would do chores around the house, I'd get allowance, and he would say, hey, whatever I put in a savings account, he would match it. And he really taught me how, hey, if you put your money in this account and, you will make interest off of it, back when savings accounts actually offered interest. And as I got older, he just kind of kept upping the ante. So it went from just a basic kind of savings account to a certificate of deposit to a money market account. And by the time I got out of college, the next step was just investing. It was like, hey, I worked a lot my entire life and I'm very frugal. I think it's a pretty cool combination. If I worked my behind off since like really the age of like 10, but I don't really spend anything. So I had a good amount of money saved up and nothing to do with it. And he just advised that, hey, let's put some of it in the stock market and just start understanding how that works. And that's what initially got me in the stocks. And as I got into it, I noticed that I really loved the game. It was fun. It was a puzzle. It was exciting, and not exciting by like a gambler's perspective, but just like an excitement of trying to figure things out. And the more experience I got into it, and I actually did really, really good in the stock market, I started asking myself, hey, Akil, you like it, you're good at it. This was during the recession here in the US, so I couldn't get a job to save my life anyway, or a good career to save my life anyway. So I said, hey, why not take a shot and see if you can make this a full-time gig? And it wasn't easy. There was a 2 to 3 year stretch where I just struggled a lot and didn't think it was going to work out. But eventually it did. And now I'm living my dream life. I get to wake up and do exactly what I want to do every single day. And it makes that 2 to 3 years seem like nothing in comparison.
Yeah. And I understand that you had a trading mentor in the stock market. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. So I had a trading mentor in the stock market. I had a trading mentor in the Forex market as well. In the stock market, it was actually, I met this guy by accident. He was, I later found out he was this local millionaire, and he was actually a grandfather type figure to my girlfriend at the time, my girlfriend then now wife. So I met him just because, he had heard about me because obviously I'm dating his granddaughter essentially, and he wanted to come in and vet me. We've been dating for some time, and he wanted to, like most fathers or uncles and grandfathers, he wanted to make sure, hey, I was a good fit for her if things were going to get serious. And while we had those conversations, I think he recognized that my mindset, kind of my mindset about money, my mindset about entrepreneurship in general was very similar to his. And he kind of took me under his wing. And I obviously saw this guy was super successful. And then, I'm no dummy. If you find someone that's super successful, you latch on to him and learn. So I remember that first summer when I met him, I spent the entire summer in his office. I just sat in this corner, this little round table in the corner. I would just sit there all day. I'd listen to his phone calls. I'd watch his meetings. And I just was like a fly on the wall, trying to learn as much as I can. And throughout that experience, I kind of learned a little bit about investing. And then obviously I'd start picking his mind. Hey, why did you do that? Hey, what do you think about that? And the relationship just grew where he kind of, really favored me and kind of taught me his craft, and I took it from there and ran. Took steps back when going to Forex, but at least from the investment side of things with stocks, that's how I got started in the market.
Yeah. And what were like some of those lessons that you learned from him? Like, do you still use some of those lessons today?
Yeah. And the biggest lesson I learned was that, I was under the impression that if you want to be an investor, you have to have this you have to have this Ivy League degree. You have to be super smart. You got to be a brainiac and understand all these financial sheets and whatnot. And that discouraged me. I think that discourages a lot of people because I'm not dumb by any means. I'm intelligent, but I'm not super smart like that. In fact, I switched majors from business to something else in college because I was failing micro and macroeconomics. So, I definitely didn't think I was me. I didn't think I can do this. But what I learned from him is it's a lot more common sense, at least his style of investing. It was a lot more kind of figuring out the puzzle, putting two and two together, kind of if this, then that, and making predictions. And a lot of the predictions, at least for me, they weren't really hard to make because they were kind of right there in your face. So to this day, I still take kind of a common sense investment approach where I don't necessarily value any type of financial documents. I'll peek and whatnot to see the strength of a company or whatnot, but in general, I try to just, I hate to say it, but rely on my gut feel. And that's worked really, really well for me, kind of keeping it simple and just understanding not just myself, but understanding, I think, the public perception and how they feel and how things may change in the future.
Yeah. And I know that you're also big into your athletics.
Yeah.
What would you say are some of the similarities between being an athlete and a trader?
I think there's many similarities. I think, I would say that being an athlete, I wouldn't be the trader I am today if I weren't an athlete. Many of the skills that are needed in trading, well, essentially this, if you want to be a successful trader, trading is a skill. Again, it's not a God-given talent. There's no kind of DNA. Yeah, I think you gotta have a certain level of intelligence. Obviously, you can't be dumb as a doorknob, but it is a skill, and like any skill, if you work on it, you will get better. And I remember growing up playing basketball, and I didn't know how to dribble with my left hand at all. And my coach had told me, hey, you need to go outside for a half an hour each day and just dribble the ball with your left hand. And I did that. Boom, 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 boom. First day I was horrible. End of that week, I was a little bit better. You fast forward a month later, I was pretty good with my left hand. And it's a skill that I developed simply because I consistently worked on it. And reading a price chart and trading is the same way. It's really tough at first. Everything looks weird. I remember when I first saw a Japanese candlestick, I had no idea what the heck it was. I couldn't see anything, just squiggly lines. But the more I worked on it, the more I practiced, the more I learned and practically applied what I was learning, the better I became. So the idea that, you have to treat trading just like an athletic practice was big with me. And also discipline. The main reason why traders fail isn't because they're not good. Typically, most traders are good enough to make good entry calls. They're just not, they don't have the discipline to get out of their own way. So stuff like early target taking or moving stops back or entering too soon or being afraid to enter, those are all psychological errors. Nothing to do with the technicals, nothing to do with the skill of reading a price chart. And what athletics taught me with that is just being disciplined. Being an athlete, you have to listen to the coach. You may not always agree with the coach, but whatever the coach says, you have to do. So I became a very disciplined person. I know how to follow rules. I know how to interpret things and adjust on the fly, just based on my time as being an athlete. And I think that carried over very, very well to the financial markets and especially the short memory. You're going to have bad plays. I remember I had a high school football game where there was a bunch of scouts there. So a bunch of scouts recruiting me. And if I did well, I increased my chances of getting a scholarship to a big school. And I remember I had my worst game ever. I think I dropped about 2 or 3 touchdown passes in the first half of the game. And I remember my coach telling me, hey, you have to have a short memory. Like what happened. You can't do anything about it. All you can control is the future. And trading is the same way, right? You have a bad trade or you have a losing trade. Guess what? There's nothing you can do about it now. You can only make your situation worse by kind of thinking about it and forcing the next one. So you have to be able to forget. You have to be able to reset. You have to be able to move on kind of with a blank slate. And that's something that's massive in trading, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you touched on like the hard work and the discipline and stuff like that. Do you think that anyone can be profitable with the right education?
Yes and no. I think the right education, yes. I think the discipline is going to be the tough part. And I think there's a big difference between learning the skill of trading and learning or mastering your own psychology. So I think anyone has the ability to be profitable. Again, unless like even if you're dumb as a doorknob, man, you can find a way. Again, I don't think. In fact, I think the smarter people, and this has kind of been proven, the smarter people, more intelligent people, often struggle in trading more than the less intelligent ones. But I certainly think anyone can. I think it's going to be a matter of, can you control yourself? Can you stay disciplined? Can you kind of ignore the psychological demons that pop up during your trading career?
And do you have any advice for people that struggle with the discipline or the patience when trading?
Yeah, you got to look at bigger picture. It starts with changing the mindset, and it's easy to say, hard to do, but you got to shift your mindset from being results oriented, results driven, meaning that you're judging yourself off the results. I am good because I have a good trade. I am bad because I have a bad trade. And you have to be more process driven. You have to really accept the fact that we have no control over the markets. You can do everything correct and still lose. You can do everything wrong and still win. So the result is not really what you should be judging yourself off of. It should be the process. Are you doing things the right way? And when you really understand that this is a game of probabilities and risk management, so it's putting yourself in a position that is more likely to be profitable than not profitable, and setting up your risk management in a way that um, when you win, you basically win more than you lose, or you're not losing so much that you blow your account. When you combine those two things, um, really you're just playing the game. You're no different than a casino. A casino doesn't make money off of everyone that comes into its doors, right? Some people win and leave with profit from the casino, but at the end of the day, they have an edge. Every single game in the casino, they have the advantage. So it's a numbers game. If they just want to keep people playing as much as they can, because if they can do that, they're more likely, or they're going to take home more money than what they have to pay out. And trading is the same way. We are the casino. We have to have an edge, and we have to consistently exploit that edge.
Yeah. And I think that's like the mindset, isn't it? Like
Mm-hmm.
the mindset is really important. And I heard, I don't know whether I'm going to say this correctly, but I heard you talk about Kaizen philosophy
Mm-hmm.
in a previous podcast. Can you kind of expand on that?
So the Kaizen philosophy is a Japanese philosophy for continuous improvement. It's something that I learned during trading. I remember when I was really younger as a trader, me and my buddy, my get rich quick buddy, we bought this. I think it was like some Forex DVD or some trading DVD. We split it, we went halfsies on it, and we watched it. And it was funny. I think that was like the first educational investment I made. The first time I paid for education, and I don't even know if it was good or bad. I think I was too dumb or too blinded to actually understand. But I remember they talked about the Kaizen philosophy in that DVD, and it stuck with me, and I really try to live my life by it. But it's the idea of continuous improvement. It was after the World War in Japan, where the economy was kind of ruined and their factories were kind of getting back together. And um, they said that instead of trying to achieve basically like 100% efficiency each day, um, let's just take small steps. Let's just try to get a little bit more efficient each day. Let's get a little bit better each day. And I've kind of put that into my life as win the day, where each day I want to get a little bit closer to that end goal. If I can get a little bit better each day, whether it's being a husband, being a father, being a trader, whatever it is, then 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, whenever it is, I'm going to be just continuously improving. And um, basically it's just trying to make small deliberate improvements each and every day, instead of focusing on the big picture, and understanding that if you're consistently doing the small things, the small habits, those big changes are going to come before you know it.
Yeah. And the continuous improvement from when you started trading, was it a difficult process for you to become profitable? And also, like, from when you were profitable, what kind of things were you looking to change to improve?
Yeah, it was extremely difficult. I spent a long time trading with the wrong mindset, or trying to trade the wrong mindset. I was looking for the answer and not kind of equation to figure out the question. So I just wanted the strategy. I said, give me a strategy that works so I can make money, and I'll just do this and do that. And I never focused on discipline. I never focused on psychology. I never even focused on how to properly read a price chart. I just wanted the strategy. And it hit me one day when I was trading this trend continuation strategy, and someone, I think probably someone on the internet, asked me a question. They said, hey, what is the euro dollar? What direction is the trend in? And I couldn't answer the question. And it hit me where it's like, I'm a trend trader, right? So if there's one thing I should be able to do as a trend trader, it's know what the trend is. I just couldn't answer the question. And that's when it kind of hit me that I really didn't have any education on the price charts. And it made me take a step back and focus on kind of the basics first. Instead of just learning the strategy, mastering how to read a price chart, mastering understanding how price moves. And then if I do that, I'll have a better understanding of how my strategy works and how to tweak it and how to be more efficient. So taking those small steps really helped me. And then once I became profitable, because I became profitable trading a single strategy, right? I focused on one thing, I got good at that one thing, and I started making money in the markets. But I knew that one thing wouldn't last forever. I knew that market conditions change, and that if I thought I'd be a one-trick pony, I was putting myself in a very dangerous position. So I wanted to learn more. So what I did was I went back to a lot of the old tactics that I tried and failed at when I was learning. And I revisited them with kind of the newer understanding of what trading is on how a price chart moves. And I was able to take many of the techniques and strategies that I used before that I wasn't profitable with. I don't want to say they weren't profitable. It was me just doing dumb stuff with them. And I revisited them with new knowledge, and a lot of them have been, slowly put into my current style of trading, which is pretty cool because it gives me a lot of diversity. It gives me a lot of options how I can trade. It gives me a lot of flexibility, which really helps me adjust to any type of market condition that we may face.
Yeah. And from all of your years of trading, was there one year that stood out to you in a good or bad reason? And what would that be and why?
Good or bad reason? I would say I have one trade that stood out from. I'm trying to think of a full. I would say this year it had, or not. Well, not this year. I would say probably one of the most powerful years I had would have been 2000. I want to say 14. It was when you know what? No, let's fast forward. 2017. This is when I took my biggest drawdown from a monetary perspective. Not the longest one, but the biggest hit. It was about a 17% drawdown. And I remember it was, if it was 2017, I may be a little cloudy on that year, but I remember 2016, 2015 was a great year. So I had my best year of trading in 2015, probably. 2016 was good, but it wasn't as good as 2015. And I remember in December, that's when I typically take time to review my stats and make any improvements through continued education, really work on myself as a trader. And I remember I did that, and I was so fired up for 2017. I'm like, 2017, I'm going to get back to my 2015 form. I found some things I want to work on. I found something I could add into my trading. I was fired up about having the best year ever. And this is typical, right? We always think January is a fresh start, whether it's going to the gym or whatever goals we're working on, we get all excited, right? So it was no different with trading. And I remember I started trading. I was more excited than ever. I was fired up. I was passionate. And then for the first 6 weeks of the year, I just got destroyed, man. My equity curve went straight down 17%. And it was heartbreaking because, again, I went from like an emotional high to an emotional low. And yes, I'm a professional trader, but I still face the same emotions that everyone else faces. Like, I don't like losing money. Like, I question myself when drawdowns get bad of did I lose it? Did I lose my step? Is the market not working? I still have those questions. I'm better at answering them, but I still have those questions. And I remember that it was tough, but the journey of pulling myself out of that drawdown was amazing. Because I took 6 weeks of kind of funk. I leveled off for about 2 to 3 weeks. And then the rest of the year, I just climbed out of it. And it was like, going back to a sports reference, it was like making an epic comeback in a sporting event where your opponent got you down, everyone thinks you're dead, and then you pull off the victory. And I think that was the most powerful year for me, just because it was the biggest hole that I've been in. It happened right away. So from a psychological standpoint, it's going to stick with me forever, where it's like, hey, you can be in a bad drawdown. It's only 1 month or a month and a half into the year. You have plenty of time to get back on track. And it's a powerful story for myself. It's a powerful story that I share with a lot of the traders I work with as well.
Yeah, and that 17% drawdown, was that over a period of trades, or was that over like a week?
It was for about 6 weeks straight. So I think,
Wow.
I didn't even think. I mean, I'm sure I had wins in there, obviously, but once I started going down, it was a consistent drip.
Yeah. And do you have like one trade that stood out?
In that period, or in general?
In general, I guess.
Yeah, it was I call it my first good trade. It was a trade on the New Zealand dollar. This is when I was still learning how to trade. And I was involved in a live trading room with my mentor, who was teaching us every day. And I remember it was a pattern trade on New Zealand dollar, and it was a big one. It was a 4-hour trade, and it had pretty significant profits and loss on there. And we triggered the trade. It had to be like a Thursday. And I remember we're in the trade, and then we triggered on Thursday. We come in on Friday, and the trade's about 50 pips up, right? So for me at the time, like, I'm struggling as a trader. So 50 pips is like, I want to take this money and run with it. And I remember my mentor saying, hey, you guys got to be patient, let the trade play out. You just set it and forget it, right? Trust your targets and all that fun stuff. And I remember I at the time I was consistently taking profits early. Like as soon as I get them, I take it. So, and it wasn't working, obviously. But so this was the first time that I told myself, I said, you know what? My mentor is always saying, psychology, stick with the trade. All right, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to prove him wrong. I'm going to stick with this trade. It's going to lose. I'm going to send him an angry email saying, you cost me money, and all this fun stuff that was going through my mind. And I remember sticking with the trade. And I remember us coming back on Monday or Tuesday, and the trade had rallied up about 200 pips to hit first targets. And I'm like, this is amazing, because I was actually in it. I was actually staying in it. And I remember going into the live room we were doing. He asked, he's talking about the trade, obviously bragging about it, saying, hey, good job for you, those who are disciplined. He said, why aren't you guys excited? And I would say about like 80% of the people that took that trade cashed out on Friday. And it was only a small handful of us that held with it. And I remember even my roommate at the time, who was kind of my trading partner, I'm running down to him. I'm like, Andre, it's up 200 pips. This is crazy. Isn't this exciting? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, dude, aren't you happy? Like, we never made 200 pips before. Like, it actually worked. And I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, yeah, I cashed out on Friday at 50 pips. And that's when I think that's what hit me. The trade ended up going up 400 more pips. So it was like 600 pips total. But that was the first time that I actually stuck to the plan. I followed my rules. I didn't take profits early. I didn't do anything funky, and it paid off. And that was the moment when I started to believe. It was the first time I saw the payoff from, I guess, the comparison between the payoff from doing what I was supposed to do and trusting my analysis, trusting myself, versus taking it early. And from that moment on, I didn't take a single target early after that. That was my eyes were wide open. I was sold on the plan. So that trade always stands out for me. That's my best trade ever.
Yeah. And you've been mentioning like that you have learned a lot from your mentors. Mm-hmm. Is there anyone inside or outside of trading that you look up to at the moment?
Well, I've got a good support system around me. I mean, I coach track and field at a local university. So our head coach there is a good kind of, I don't want to call him a father-like figure, because he's not that much older than me, but like a good uncle type figure. So he's mentored me a lot, just in life and being able to grow as a person. From a business perspective, the mentor that I had in the stock market, and he passed away a few years ago, so he's no longer with us. But I wouldn't say that I have any new mentors. There are people that I watch, or people that I listen to, but as far as like an in-person mentor, someone I go to and talk, I really don't have one of those right now. I just have a supportive system of individuals that keep me on track. But no real mentor, I would say, as far as from the business and trading perspective goes.
I'm sorry to hear about your stock market mentor.
It's he lived. He lived a life that he had so many extra years. Man, he was in the war. He was paralyzed. He was into his 90s, sharp as ever. I remember a couple weeks before he passed, he's whispering in my ears like, "You gotta buy gold," and I'm like, "Okay, man." And I bought gold, and it paid off very, very well. But he lived a full life. He was ready to go. So it's that's kind of cool. He was ready. He touched many people, and he put us in the position where we can touch others as well. So I'm driven by kind of passing his message and his advice forward to my kids and anyone that I run across to. So.
And do you have any advice for anyone that is looking for a mentor, like inside or outside of trading? Because obviously it's quite hard to actually get a mentor nowadays that might not want payment or something like that. Like, how do you find a genuine mentor?
That's a good question. Because it's hard to tell. I would say just, and this is something I don't really do well. I'm not a big networking person, but I would say networking. Putting yourself out there, going to events. Just talking to people and getting to know people. And when you come across someone that has, good advice or someone that is doing what you want to do, just, put yourself out there and don't be shy, saying, "Hey, do you mind if I give you a call or an email or something like that?" I think, and I know the world is changing, especially with the COVID mess, to kind of being more online. And I suppose you can do the same thing, but I think a good old fashioned face-to-face, in-person type of meeting is still best, and it's just being willing, I should say, to meet different people and get to know them, and understanding that you don't need a single mentor for everything. You can have a mentor that you go to for business. You can have a mentor that you go to for life advice, right? I have my partner in my real estate investment business. I look at him as like a mentor from a father perspective. He had kids, and a lot more kids than I have, well before me. So when I need fatherly advice, I kind of listen and watch what he does. So I think it's just getting to know people, and then making the right decision. I would tell you this: typically if someone's trying to sell you something first, they're not a mentor. So if someone's out on the internet saying, "Hey, I'll be your mentor for this low price," that's usually like not mentorship. Mentorship is more genuine. They have to actually care. It can't just be about the money. And I know that probably seems a little bit hypocritical. I'm someone that coaches traders, and even though coaching is a little bit different than mentoring. And we get paid for our services, but if you look at us, very rarely are you going to ever hear me try to sell you anything. I know I have to at some point to be a better business person. I'm very horrible at business, but you look for someone that actually cares. They want to see you grow as a person, and they're willing to help. So if you talk to someone and they kind of put it out there, "Hey, hey man, just give me a call if you ever need anything," that's usually a good sign that they're willing and that they want to help pay it forward.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're doing quite a lot outside of trading as well. So you've got like the athletics and the real estate, stuff like that.
Yep.
Do you have any goals that you're currently working towards?
Well, my big goal is I want to own 100 properties, and that's not a hard number by any means. But I think that's I guess just the bigger goal of I want to own a massive amount of real estate to the point where, I guess I'll say this: the main goal that me and my business partner have in our real estate investment business is to be able to set up something that our children can take over. Now, obviously, our kids don't have to do that; they can do whatever they want, but really to have the infrastructure in place, where it's like, "Hey, you guys can take over this real estate business. You can become financially free just by managing it. That's going to free up time for you to do whatever you want in life." So whether you want to take the time to travel the world, whether you want to dig into some type of exploration, whether you want to be an entrepreneur, maybe start your own business or fail a couple of times and you keep trying to start new businesses, we want to have that infrastructure in place where it's like, "Hey, you don't have to necessarily be stuck in that trap where you're forced to get a full-time job in order to pay for life. We want you to have the freedom to do what you want to do in life. And by having something that is self-sustainable, that's already this machine that's already up and running and printing money, yeah, you have to do a little bit for that, but it frees up time to really explore what you want to do. And the reason I say 100, because I read a book a long time ago where there's like, once you get 100 properties, you'll be a millionaire or whatever, something like that. So it's not a hard number, but enough properties where that our children can really just have something that they can rely on that will allow them to have freedom in life. So that's the main goal. Trading wise, I'd like to, I don't know if this is going to ever happen. I'd like to one day set up a prop firm. I'd like to either set up a prop firm or have a direct link where we can take traders on the platform and get them funded. The reason I coach is because, obviously trading has changed my life for the better. I am blessed to be doing what I'm doing. I'm blessed to meet the right people at the right time. And my life is been completely changed by this skill. And many of the traders that we work with are looking to do the same thing. They're not necessarily looking to become millionaires or anything like that and have Lambos and gold chains and whatnot, but they're looking to have a skill that can either give them supplemental income or maybe something that will get them out of their normal 9 to 5. And many of the traders that we work with are very skilled. They just don't have the capital to go full-time trading because that, obviously that takes a lot of money. So I'd love to give them a place where it's like, hey, you've been through our program. We've taught you the skill. Let's put you in a situation directly where, hey, now you can use that skill to start changing your life. Whether it's, hey, we're funding you with money. Now you can come trade for us full time and quit your job. Or maybe it's, we partner with another prop firm where it's like, hey, we send you to them. It's kind of like a filter program and, you trade their money. And that would be big because it provides a light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of people. And I think when you can see that end goal where it's like, hey, if I get good at this, I can get funded. If I can get funded, I can make this and blah, blah, blah. I think it encourages and motivates people a little bit more than just saying, hey, you got to figure it out, or here are your options, kind of figure it out by yourself. So that would be a trading goal of mine.
And obviously you're doing quite a lot right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have like any routines that you do? What does your average day look like?
So my average day is, I wake up usually around, it depends, summer I sleep in a little bit because the markets aren't as busy, but usually I'm up around 5 or 5:30 each day. I don't check my charts at first unless I have a position on overnight. I do check that to make sure, see if I have to manage anything or whatnot. But I try to do some form of meditation for the first 30 minutes. And for me, meditation is a little bit different. It's not your typical kind of sit there with candles and hum in silence. Sometimes I'll do that, but it could be a yoga routine. It could be stretching. It could be even checking emails or just, browsing weird stuff on the internet. But I try to take about 30 minutes to allow my mind to wake up, because what I've noticed is that although I'm the type that jumps out my bed, does a backflip, hops downstairs and shouts, win the day, right? My body is fine. My brain takes a little bit more time to catch up. And I found myself making a lot of trading mistakes in the morning, first thing, because, I'm not really seeing things. So I take about a half an hour to do something else and before I get into trading. Then I do a round of top-down analysis. Depending on the day, it can take me anywhere from 5 minutes to 35 minutes of just reviewing the markets, looking from a higher time frame perspective and kind of setting up my day, saying, hey, Akil, this is what you need to look for. These are the levels you should watch for. These are the trades on your radar and whatnot. I'll do some business stuff where there's updating social media posts or something like that, checking emails. And then I take about 45 minutes to an hour to make breakfast. That's a very important part to kind of get separation from the markets before I go back into the market. So I take about an hour to do that. Then I run a live trading room. So I do some day trading. I do another I guess, round of top-down analysis and active day trading for about 2 to 3 hours a day. So that takes me to about 10 o'clock, maybe from 7 to 10 or 8 to 7:30 to 10:30. And then I try to get away from the charts again. I'd like to do some type of physical activity, preferably right after trading. So it could be a bike ride, it could be a run, it could be a workout. And for me, that's a way to kind of separate the day, right? Trading, there's a lot of stress that comes with trading. If you're having a bad day, that can stick with you. If you lost money in the market, you might be upset. At the same time, if you made a lot of money, you might be overconfident, and both of those can cause psychological errors. So, for me, having that break is another form of meditation, and working out and doing whatnot is getting my mind off the markets, putting my mind somewhere else, firing off that good drug that your brain releases when you do physical fitness, and then coming back with kind of a fresh perspective. And the afternoons are spent, sometimes working on the business, sometimes working with traders, sometimes I just play with my kids for the rest of the afternoon. The cool part is that basically after 10 o'clock in the morning, I can do whatever I want. So I can take my kids to the park. We can go to the zoo. I can sit and do business stuff. I can record podcasts. I have the flexibility to really do whatever I want from that time on. And that's pretty cool. I'll do another round of analysis at night, kind of reviewing my trading day and then looking around to see if there's anything I need to have set up for the overnight session. And then I typically, I'll go to bed, wake up a few times because I got young kids that do that to you, and repeat. So it's a lot of my day is heavily weighted in the morning, where I'm really focused from probably about 5 a.m. to about 10 a.m. those first 5 hours, and then after that it's pretty free. It's pretty flexible depending on what my schedule may be.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of traders aspire to have, where they can trade for a few hours in the morning or whenever, and then have the rest of the day to do whatever they want. I know certainly for me, that's the case as well.
Yeah, I think that should be the goal. I think a lot of, I was talking to a younger trader yesterday, and I know a lot of younger traders have the mindset they want to be in front of the charts the whole time. And I asked him, I said, well, why do you want to get involved in trading in the first place? And many people will say financial freedom, because that's the kind of the buzzword, right? Financial freedom. But what we really should be aspiring for is freedom of time, right? Financial freedom is cool until you make money. It's been an interesting switch, as I've kind of gone through, I guess, the transition from being kind of lower income to where I'm at now, where it's like money used to be everything. It used to be make money, more money, more money. It used to be so valuable because you value money more when you don't have any. But once you kind of get in the position where you're covering those basic needs, right, where you're paying your rent on time, where you're not late on your car payment, where, you don't have to kind of pick and choose at the grocery store. You can kind of get whatever you want. You don't have to get kind of the nasty version because it's cheaper, right? When you can fulfill those basic needs, you understand that money isn't really as important anymore. The difference between, like, I think it was said, once you make more than, I think it's the US stat, I think it's once you make more than, is it 60,000? I forgot the number. But let's say 60,000. Once you make more than $60,000 a year, you don't get the same amount of happiness as you did going from 60,000 to 80,000 as you did from 30,000 to 60,000, because those needs are taken care of. You're not in kind of survival mode. So once you kind of put yourself in that position, you understand that all this money is great, but what's the point of it if you can't enjoy life? If you're just a slave to your charts and you're making money, but you're at your charts all day, you can't go on vacations, you can't do this, you can't do that. And you start to realize that freedom of time is the most important thing. The ability to do what you want when you want is the most important thing. And I know that's what motivates me, especially with two young kids, is like, I want to be that parent that can go on class trips. I want to be that parent that can take them to the zoo on a random day or something like that. I want to have the flexibility where I don't have to ask my boss for a day off. I don't have to ask for permission. I can just do it. And setting yourself up in trading where you can handle your business, you put in your work, but you give yourself that time as well. I think that's what makes it such a beautiful thing to do. That's the real value in trading and investing, is you can literally make money while you're asleep or while you're away.
Yeah, I think Warren Buffett talks about that a lot, doesn't he? He says, I can't remember the exact thing that he says, but he talks about making money while you sleep.
Yeah, I think it's if you don't learn how to make money while you sleep, you'll work till you die, something like that. Yes, I saw it the other day.
So kind of going on from that, but also not really. What's something that sets the profitable traders apart from the non-profitable traders?
Mindset. I would say mindset. It's having a realistic expectation of what you can get from trading is key. I think there are many really good traders out there, but their expectations are just too high. Where you have some really profitable traders where, look, if you told me, if you guarantee that I can make 5% a month, I will be doing backflips. And at the same time, you'll have traders that will make 5% a month, and it's not enough. It's like, well, I should be making 10%, and they'll go ahead and sabotage their 5% in hopes of making this 10% because for some reason they think that's the magic number. So I think having a realistic expectation of like, hey, you don't have to be a superstar, you can be good, and it's really the power of compounding that really makes the difference. Just feed your account, do the same thing you've been doing, just have more money in your account. I think that's a biggest one of the big difference makers, and I think the mentality of kind of the time it takes to be good at trading as well, where it's like, it's for some reason people think you can be successful at trading overnight, where they understand like, hey, if you want to be a doctor, you got to go to school for like 20 years. But if you want to be a trader, right, you can make money and you can learn it in 1 week. So taking the time that's needed to actually develop a skill and become good at it, I think that's one of the biggest separators that I see with successful traders. Is a lot of successful traders say, hey, like, I'm just going to take my time. My goal is like 1.5 years from now, where struggling or other traders are like, man, okay, so I can learn in a week. So that mindset is big.
Yeah. And the final question that I really have for you is, what's some non-conventional advice that you could give to a trader who wants to succeed?
Non-conventional. Don't listen to what other people are telling you. Be okay with being the minority. I think it's very easy to want to listen to advice of the people that are, sharing screenshots of big P&L statements or talking all the good talk. I think if you can do the opposite, I think in general in investing and trading, doing the opposite is usually the best approach, right? Even with the market, if everyone is buying gold, the news is talking about, hey, you should buy gold, buy gold, buy gold. You should probably be looking to sell gold. And the same thing during, this is a perfect time with the pandemic and whatnot. When the markets are crashing, the majority of people are fearful. The markets are crashing, I got to cash out, right? The entire time I was thinking, okay, when can I buy some stuff up? So I think just having that, the opposite approach and understanding that most people are going to fail, most people are wrong. So being on the other side isn't a bad thing. I think that's going to do wonders as a trader. Just being able to think not like the general crowd, not like the herd, I guess.
Yeah. So thanks for coming onto the podcast today.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you would like to say? And also, where can people find you?
You can find me. I'm all over social media. So I'm on all the big ones. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm at Akil Stokes RTM. Make sure you don't fall for the people with the weird names like Akil Stokes RTM 1 or 2, because they are out there trying to scam you. And also, don't be shy about asking me questions. I know that I've been doing this for a while. I love questions. I'm not going to say that you have a dumb question. I'm not going to ignore you. I take pride in responding personally to every single person that reaches out, because I know I was that person one day. So don't feel shy about doing that. I've also got a podcast, the Trading Coach Podcast. It comes out 3 times a week. We cover a lot of interesting topics. Most of them are trading related, but I also like to think it talks a lot about entrepreneurship, self-development, mindset. It's a fun listen, if I do say so myself. And I guess my words of advice would be just, don't give up. Something I had really early on in my initial trading plan was that I believe that people only fail because they give up before giving themselves the chance to succeed. So there's a very easy formula to success. It's you do the right things, you do them the right way, for the right amount of time. If you do that, you'll be successful. So if you're checking off all those 3 categories, you're taking the right actions, you're doing it the right way, you're not rushing through it or anything like that, and you give yourself enough time to kind of fail and learn and fail and learn and fail and learn, you're going to be successful. You just have to keep grinding at it and understand that, failure, and I forgot who said this, I heard the other day, failure is basically the tax that is taken out of success. So you can't be successful unless you fail. It's hand in hand. So if you can understand that, I think it makes kind of those setbacks a lot easier to deal with.